Hey everybody, it's Gary Steinman with GamesRadar. I'm here with Shawn McGrath, indie developer extraordinaire, maker of one of our favorite games right now, Dyad. We're here also with
Alex Roth, associate editor.
To start, why don't you tell us a little bit about Dyad, maybe take us into an early level and explain to us the mechanics.
Sure. It's a almost impossible game to translate into words, which makes fun to try to talk about. Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah. It's a very strange, interesting game that it when you see it, it looks incomprehensible, but when you play it, it's actually quite reasonable. I think that's what all the reviews are saying now. It's
Right.
like, oh, it actually isn't unplayable. So it's a tube shooter, like you can see here. And you go around the side of the tube like this, and it plays pretty music and stuff. And if you go up behind this blue enemy here and press X, I hook onto it, and it gives me a little bit of a speed boost. And if I go to another one, it gives me a bigger speed boost, right? So if I go like trying to make pairs here, right? So I just made two blues. I'll make a yellow, another yellow, a blue, another blue, and it makes pairs and speeds you up. It also creates that circle around it that you can kind of see when it's on the side of the tube. And so what you want to do is you want to go into that circle. Like that,
But not through the center of the...
Oh, you never want to hit that. If you do that, that nonsense
kicks you back,
happens.
right.
Yeah, you don't want any of that crap. So, you go through these circles here, and it fills up those two bars that are flashing at the bottom.
Oh, I see that. Lance ready.
Lance ready. So what that means is I'm going to lance now, which is that, and you shoot yourself forward, and you kill all the enemies in front of you, right? So you're trying to, in this particular level, you're trying to lance 50 enemies as quickly as you possibly can. Every level has a different goal. There's maybe like 18 goals, different goals in the main 27 levels, and then there's probably another 25 different goals. So there's maybe 43 different goals for all 52 levels. So it is pretty. There's a lot. You're doing a lot of different things, and what you're doing is always changing. So this particular level is just to lance 50, which I just did. So.
Right, and after you beat the level, you unlock, the trophy challenge, which puts another spin on it, right?
Right. So I'll show you the trophy level for this one, right? So because I just got 3 stars, 1 star will unlock the next level, so you can actually get through the game and see all the levels relatively quickly and easily. It's not a difficult game. Like I didn't want to make all this cool stuff at the end of the game and make it so you can't actually get there unless you're really good. But I wanted to challenge people to do really well. So that's what the trophies are for, right? So the trophy levels are hard, but the main game itself isn't that hard. So this level, same level, but the trophy variation, and has a pretty good breakbeat in it. I need to lance 50 enemies, but I can only lance 6 times. So that's how it's different than the other one, which is lance 50 as fast as possible. This I can take as long as I want, but I need to get 50. So I'm going to try to do that. Oh, I'm not getting 50.
Right. So there are some levels where you've got to be frenetic and go as fast as you can, but then there's some where you have to be really strategic and really plan.
Oh yeah. It's all. I try to play with player expectation as much as possible. Yeah, I didn't get the trophy. I wanted to play with player expectations and always surprise people and always give them something new that they weren't expecting. So.
Yeah, I played a bit of it last night, and I got through some of the levels. You're absolutely right. I got through some of the levels fairly easily. Mm-hmm. I mean, they took some challenge, but it was fun. And then I tried some of these trophy levels. Even for some of the early levels, man, they kicked my butt.
Yeah, this one's really cool, this trophy level. I'll show you this one real quick. Basically, you can't see the color, and you're trying to make pairs, so you have to listen. So you have to be like, that one and that one. So I know this is orange because I've played this so many times, and I know that's orange, so I have to make pairs just by listening. So that's a blue, and that's a blue. And yeah, so you're trying to make 50 pairs by only playing by sound, which is a little bit different than other levels.
So how do you find that balance? I mean, you've made something that you can play if you just want to play it and get into that trance-like state. Mm-hmm. But then you've got these leaderboards, and you really are encouraging hyper-competitive play and mastery. How do you find that balance, making something that someone like I, who might not be the most competitive player, can trance out to, but someone like Alex, who wants to destroy everyone in his path, could make it onto the leaderboards for? Is there any magic formula?
No, there's no magic formula. It's just a lot of work.
That's where the bulk of the work comes in dev, isn't it? Or in the dev of this game.
In the dev of this game, for sure. I mean, it took 4 years, right? But if you like look at it superficially, it doesn't. You know, maybe the graphics took a few months. The music took, you know, a few months. Coming up with all the mechanics and stuff, that took a few years. That took like 2.5 years, and then balancing it so that, and playtesting. Like I did playtesting for 3 years. It's just like I'd show it everywhere to everybody, as many people as I possibly could, and I wanted to make it so if you've never played a game before, it's good. And I don't mean like how a PopCap game is good or how like a casual game is good. I wanted it to still have substance for people who've never played games before. And I wanted it to appeal to like professional StarCraft players. And I watched a lot of professional StarCraft, and I'm friends with some of those guys. And I wanted it to appeal to them, and I wanted it to appeal to like my mom, who actually does play PopCap games. But I wanted to appeal to like my grandmother, who has never even heard of a video game before, right? So I wanted it to work on absolutely every single level.
You just mentioned professional StarCraft players, and we were talking earlier about a level that you think is going to be like the coolest competitive level that you think these StarCraft players might really, or those type of players would really get into. You want to show it to us?
Oh, that was the level there. That
Okay.
was there's that one that's really competitive, and this one is super competitive. They're all pretty competitive.
Show me one that you really think is going to, be a big leaderboard battleground, a big way to prove that you have what it takes to be a master of Dyad.
Okay. This one, it's just a race, so it's just a race as fast as possible. So this is probably the most competitive of the race levels. So I'll play it as fast as I possibly can.
Right.
And people watching are going to be very confused.
Yeah, I'm confused already.
It's actually not that bad. Oh, I've already failed.
So a lot going on in there.
Oh, that was pretty basic. Hang on.
Okay.
It gets pretty wild. I've done this in about 2 minutes and 36 seconds. I don't know if I can do it that fast here.
I noticed you're playing with the thumbstick instead of the D-pad.
I actually switch.
Do you?
There's no reason to switch in this part because it's more about fluid motion.
Right.
But some levels where you need, or some parts where you need a lot of precise stuff and less fluid motion, I switch between the D-pad and analog.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because I couldn't, and I haven't gotten as far into the game as obviously you have, but as someone who's beaten the game, let's say. But playing the first handful of levels, I couldn't figure out, did I want to play with a thumbstick, with a D-pad? That's really cool that you pointed that out. It's the levels that require fluid motion, you might use the thumbstick. The ones that require more precision.
Yeah, I think it's going to be mostly personal preference. Some people probably just want the fluid. Oh, I'm playing terribly. Some people probably just want the fluid motion, and the game, I think it feels really good. So that's good. They should use the analog stick. And for people who want to play like absolute high level, super competitive, I think you should use both.
Right.
Or you should use whatever feels right. But for me, I want to use both.
But it's interesting to hear you say that, because it's one of the things that I'm sure, moderate players will kind of struggle with, thinking, is there a right answer? There's no right answer, obviously.
There's no wrong way to play. And that's actually another thing that was really important to me, is I wanted to make sure that there was, I hate games where there's a right way to play, right? Like the developers decided this is how I want you to play this, right? And you have to play the way they want you to play. That doesn't sound like play to me. Play is supposed to be about freedom and choice and doing whatever the hell you want. And so I wanted to make it so there's no wrong way to play. You can just like sit down and do whatever you want here. Ooh, I might be able to beat the 236 here. Oh, maybe not with that 9.
Speaking of no right or wrong way to play, you've done extensive testing yourself, and you brought it out to a lot of friends. You brought it out to some, I'm sure, paid testers. I know Sony has some testers. In the process of testing, did you encounter anything, or people playing it in ways that you never thought was possible with what you built?
Oh yeah, I still discover new tricks, and I don't understand how that's possible. But I was playing level 3. I think level 3 is really good. I don't know if other people are going to agree with me. I think it's actually one of the better levels because it's actually a super, super high level play, almost. So yeah, I was playing level 3, and my record was about 89, 90, something like that. And I discovered a new trick, and I'm now consistently able to get in the 150s. And I don't think anyone's even... I don't know what the leaderboards are. I refuse to play on them right now because it's not fair to everybody else. But I don't think anyone's going to be at 150 right now. And there's little tricks in a lot of levels. There's little tricks that I didn't expect that exist.
So music is a huge part of this, but music actually came in later in the process.
It did. A lot of people make a big deal about the visuals and the music and how it all ties together, and that's cool. I'm glad that they do because I worked, extremely hard on that stuff. But that was secondary to making a good game. I wanted it to be a good game before I wanted it to be like a... By the way, this exists. I wanted it to be a good game before it was a pretty game and before it had visual appeal, like these weird colors and stuff like that. So I cared about making a good game more than I cared about making like a pretty experience or whatever. So I think it's a good game. And then after that I was like, well, I might as well make it look pretty and sound good.
How'd you make sure you got the music you wanted? You found the right guy? Did you micromanage the music, or did you?
Oh, there was no micromanaging. I was just like, hey, here's a level, here's how it works.
Who's your music guy?
David Kanega.
Okay.
Yeah, he's super great. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll just make music, and then we'll figure out a way to make it fit into the system. And so he'd play the levels and be like, oh, I don't understand this game, it's too weird. And he'd play it, and then he'd add music to it, and he'd email me, and he's like, how does this rule work? Because every level has different rules. And I'd be like, oh, you have to do this. And he's like, okay. So then he would make music to match the rules of each level, and then that's how he understood the levels. So I found that really interesting because he didn't understand the game until he added music to it, but he needed to understand the game to add music to it. So it's kind of weird. I don't know how that worked.
And did you ever have any conflicts with him in the music, or did you have to push him or pull him back, or?
No, there were some things where I was like, that needs to be more wild, and like he makes wild music, and he was like, oh, okay. So no, there were never any conflicts or anything like that. Like I had input into the music. I was like, oh,
sure.
Maybe it should sound, it should go absolutely insane here. And he's like, okay. And then he would just make it go absolutely insane. But the way he did it is like nothing I could have even, thought of.
But was exactly the kind of stuff you were looking for.
Oh, yeah. Like I'm not a musician,
right.
but I listen to a lot of music, and I think I have pretty good taste in music. So, yeah, he was making like the most amazing stuff, and I was like, this is perfect. And there's so much music. There's 20, I don't know if people realize there's 27 levels. That's 27 songs, and they're all interactive, and they all build differently for each level because each level has different rules. So it's like there's a lot of work into the music.
Sure. Show us one of your favorite levels. Not something that you don't want to necessarily spoil, but something that really showcases everything coming together in a way that you.
Well, these
really
are some of my favorites. There's some of these levels that I think people are going to think are broken because they're just so weird, and I'm going to not show you those because they're kind of fun and exciting that you
discover them yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that I don't want to show because it's just like this trophy level and this trophy level. Like I've had people on NeoGAF who see them for the first time and they're like, "Oh my god, that gave me a heart attack." So I want to not show you any of that.
Sure.
This level is really cool. I think. I think I've shown it before, but I kind of like it.
So do you have any particular inspirations for the look or the aesthetic of the game?
Yes, but it's more driven by the fact that I don't know how to make graphics any other way. Like I can sort of paint and do that kind of stuff poorly, but I don't know how to form shapes and make things look real. So I just did, whatever I can. But for inspiration wise, it started off as a Tourist Trooper clone, which is a game by a Japanese developer named Kenta Cho, and he used a lot of really simple triangle particle effects, and I thought they looked really good, so I just copied those to start with. None of that's in the game anymore, but I sort of built it off of that idea. I really like res, particularly the color use, and some of the character design, like the running man at the end of level 4, I really like that.
I love the way that the on-screen text moves around, given how you move. And
oh, this?
yeah, when Lance pops up, and
yeah, it's supposed to be there, and like it's too fast to read, but it's supposed to be like, oh, I'm being told something, and that's good. So I wanted it not to occlude the screen or anything like that, and except for sometimes I do actually want to make it really hard to see things, because there are some levels where I purposely make it hard to see because I hope you're trained well enough to actually just like feel your way through the game, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I can show you one of those levels. I named it after Space Giraffe, which I think the whole point of Space Giraffe was to do that.
Yeah,
like this part here is a way you're just feeling your way through the game here.
Wow.
And I'll show you the Space Giraffe level. I'll quit this and go to that. And the Space Giraffe level, it's called Giraffes in Outer Space, or From Outer Space. That's partially, the Giraffes part came from Mick Sweeney's book called Giraffes, which is absolutely hilarious. Do you know the book?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Benny's signature in that book. So this level is made purposely so you can't see what's going on, because you're supposed to be able to feel your way through it. And at some point you get like good enough at the game where you can just feel your way through it. And at that point, I think it's well placed. But the whole idea was that you can't see anything.
Right.
And people are watching this at home and being like, I'm never going to play this piece of crap game because you can't see anything, which is probably a bad idea to show this. But it's entirely intentional. And by the time you get to this level, it's not. This is like nothing. This is you can easily see what's happening here if you're good at the game, and you can feel your way through it, which is the idea.
Yeah, it's well worth playing. By the way, I mean we reviewed it. Sterling said something along the lines of a great excuse to stock up on Visine, because you're going to be staring into the screen, and it's true. You really get into that trance-like state. You really keep playing it. So, are you happy with the reception of the game so far?
I'm happy with. Yeah, I mean, like I
know it's not technically out, but you've done some of your own kind of marketing on the side, getting codes out to people.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there hasn't been a negative review. I think the lowest score is like an 85, which is fine. No one has said anything negative about it, which is what is kind of bothering me, because it's weird. I expected a lot of 100s and I expected a lot of 0s. Because
you thought it would be polarizing.
A like or love.
Yeah, I thought it would be like you either love it or you think it's the worst thing ever. And there's been a lot of like somewhere in the high 80s, low to mid 90s scores, and it's like, oh, I guess everyone likes it. But that's weird to me because I didn't think everyone would like it.
Don't have trouble being liked. You're a very likable man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, but I didn't want to make something, I wanted to make something that was really important to me, not really important to a lot of people.
Right.
And so the fact that everyone really likes it is surprising. Like, actually, it is surprising. I think it's for me personally, it's the best game ever made. But I didn't expect other people to think it was actually very good.
But that gets to the heart of the matter. What about this game is important to you? What did you feel you accomplished as a developer, as a game designer, and as someone who just is passionate about playing games, making games, and being in interactive entertainment?
That's actually an interesting question. I think I have sort of my own ideas of what I think video games should be, and I wanted to make a statement, I think, about what I find important and interesting in video games, and what I think, if I was to make a video game with all of my ideals, what would it be? And this is it. And my hope is that the next game I make is completely different from this, and I have changed as a person in like a 180. I want my next game to be the complete opposite of this.
You mean an open world crime fueled game?
I don't know about that. I don't know what it'll be, but the whole idea is.
But you think you've almost scratched the itch that you had to make whatever this is. Even if you can't put it in words, you've scratched that itch.
I think
and you're
so.
ready to move to whatever is next.
Yeah, I think I'm going to spend a little bit of time and sort of think about what's out there in terms of video games now, because when I started this, video games were a lot different, because it took 4 years. So my hope is that I'll look at sort of some more modern video games now and be like, okay, this is how they are. What do I think about them? And then make what I think the ideal video game for that state of video games is. So this is like the ideal video game for now. And when my next game comes out, I hope I hate this. And I hope I'm a completely different person.
But you say it's like the ideal video game for now, but in some ways it's a counterpoint to what video games are now. It's a return to the core of pure play. It's a return to what games used to offer, but with more modern mechanics and more modern visuals and music.
Right.
So do you think your next game might be a response to where games have gone instead of, let's say, an encapsulation of where games are?
I actually have no idea. I have no idea what my next game is going to be.
Well, do you agree with that notion that this is almost a response to what games are now in some ways?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think I don't like being told what to do in a video game. I think play is about, freedom and choice for you to do whatever you want at any moment. So I definitely want to. I definitely think that this game answers that question, and I don't know what I want to answer next in my next video game. But I hope it's something as I hope I really like the next game, and I hope I hate this by the time my next game comes out. And I don't hate it right now, and I kind of thought I would hate it by the end of development, but I still really like it. So maybe I have to change more somehow.
So are there any games that you like that you feel like do a good job of giving you that choice, the freedom to play, or?
Oh yeah, Parsec 47 by Kenta Cho is like one of the best games I've ever played, and yeah, that's super good. Tetris Attack is one of my favorite games as well. I tried basically to copy the feel of Tetris Attack. I mean, it's a puzzle dropping match 3 game, but the way it works is just ridiculous, and I tried to copy its feel as much as I possibly could. So. Oh, this level's insane. So Tetris Attack and Parsec 47 are really good.
I know it's probably too early to talk about this, but any thought about DLC or additional?
No. I mean, I probably will do something, but right now the game is complete, and I wouldn't have released it if it wasn't complete. So I have nothing that I want to add in particular to it.
Right. Any thought about releasing the soundtrack separately?
Yes, Dave's working on a soundtrack.
Great, awesome.
Yeah, it'll sound different. Because if you actually listen to the music in the menus, it's all like based on the music in the game, but it sounds different. And I think that the soundtrack is going to be like based on the music in the game, but be as different as the game to the menu is. So it's going to be something completely different.
So a different experience. People who love the game music will love will like the soundtrack, but
maybe
it's not.
not.
Gonna be the same. Okay.
They might not like it because it'll be different.
Okay.
But it'll be good. But if you're like expecting it to sound like this, it won't.
Like an opera version?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like there's no linear music in the game, right? There's no
Gregorian chant version.
I don't know what that is, but I'll smile and nod.
Bunch of people chanting.
Oh, I don't know about that. There's a Finnish group that yells. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Okay,
They're like
we
a
could do that
group.
version. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
A yodel version.
Yeah, the yodel version. Well, it's like there's no linear music. Sorry, there's no linear music in the game, right? There's no sound longer than I think like 7.5 seconds or something like that.
Okay.
So you can't there's no music to just be like, oh, this level has a soundtrack already, because you make the music as you play, right? So
cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to show us or tell us about?
The controller stopped working, so that makes things difficult.
There we go.
Yeah, not really. I mean, like, people have seen it, and I don't want to spoil too much. Like, the menus are cool because I don't know how well you can hear it, but like this level sounds nice. You can use the analog sticks to remix it. So if I open it, the kick drum will come in. So now there's a kick, and go over to here, and there's a snare drum. And if I go back to here, I can use the right analog stick, and it works as a vector synthesizer with 4 drum patterns, so I can change the drums around.
I mean, this gets to the heart of play, isn't it? You just want every moment to be a moment of play.
Yeah, I wanted it to be as interactive as possible at all times. I wanted, like, no time when you're waiting. And even if you're in the menu, I mean, there's no load time in the game, right? Like, if I load this level up, like, that's how long it takes to load. So there's no load times. There's no, like, waiting around. It's like at all times you can be playing and interacting, and that was a...
And you could remix. Really, you want to show us one remix?
Oh, I've already shown you one, but I can do another one. Which one looks
Or talk us through a remix.
Sure, this level remix looks cool. Oh man, you guys couldn't get the trophy here. It's a good trophy level. So yeah, if I go to remix here, I can turn the drums off. I can turn collision off. I can wash it out, which means make it super bright and weird. I can invert the colors, which doesn't look good in this level, but I don't think it looks good, but other people might. Relativistic distortion is like, if you go to YouTube and YouTube relativistic distortion, there's like a video that explains what you would see if you were to be going approaching the speed of light and how things would redshift and morph and things like that. So I copied that. And you can do triggers is equal to music, which means you can use the analog triggers, the R2 and L2 analog triggers, to slow down the game and speed it up, and it'll do the music too. So if I hold this, I can slow the game down, or I can speed it up.
Wow. It's like the end of 2001.
It looks a little crazy washed out. Let me turn washed out off. Yeah, there was too much white there, I think, which is the whole point of washing out. But actually, you can use the digital triggers too to switch between, because this is a 3-sector level. So I can like show you this.
Wow.
And like you can see the cubes morphing, which kind of look cool. Let's see if I can get going faster here. Yeah, now the cubes are morphing around the side, and they almost like form circles and things like that.
Very cool.
Which kind of looks neat, yeah. And like you can see, like there's a lot of really kind of cool particle effects and animations that just happen way too fast. But if you play in slow-mo, you get to see them. Like your character is really fluid and moves around to whatever you're doing. And he reacts, like a lot of how the game feels has to do with the character trails, because it's kind of like a trick that shows you which direction you're going and how fast you're moving, and there's, your character leaves trails if you're going right, and, right or left or whatever, and it makes it feel good. And you get to see all that when you go in slow-mo. And then when you go back to regular speed, you can kind of pick up on those little things if you care. If you don't care, you don't have to do any of this. It's just there for fun. You can do whatever you want when you play the game. Like you can do this all day if you want.
Yep. You could set it to infinite play and just trance out.
If that's what you want to do, or you can go for the really challenging trophies, or try to compete on the leaderboards, or sit in the menus all day if you want. The menus are really fun. I spent hours there. I think it's on infinite. It should have ended by now. No, it wasn't. Oh well. Yeah.
Great.
Oh, this level actually looks kind of cool. There's like a kaleidoscope, weird kind of kaleidoscopy effect here. Maybe people care about. Maybe they don't. I also really like the music for this level. Whoops. Yeah. So it's got that weird kaleidoscopy effect. All the graphics, every level looks completely different, sounds completely different, and has different rules and plays completely different. So, yeah, kind of a strange game in that regard. You don't ever really do anything twice, and you shouldn't ever be bored. If you're bored, then I don't know what to say.
Well, thanks for coming by, Shawn, and showing off the game. We're really excited about it here at GamesRadar, and cool. We're hoping everyone else out there gets a chance to pick it up and play it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.